Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and it is a great time to be in the parts business, and there is nobody better to talk about that than Revolution Parts. And today we are honored to have both Revolution Parts and some of their best dealers. I want to welcome Mike Rich, who is the Vice President of Marketing. Mike, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Hey, Ted, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Excited to have you. And Mike, if you wouldn't mind, introduce the two gentlemen who are on the screen. I know they are both new to me and to the roundtable, but they're not new to Revolution Parts.
Yeah, so we have two great guys here, two of our most successful dealers, Scott from Modern Auto Group and Justin from All-Star CDJR. Two of our recent awards winners for our annual Parts Excellent Awards. So it's an award program we actually started 2 years ago as a way to kind of put some light on dealers' parts department and all the amazing things, the parts department's doing to help out the dealership. And both these gentlemen are two-time winners of the awards. They're experts in their area and a wealth of knowledge when it comes to selling parts.
Well, congratulations to both of you. And Justin, give us a little background. Tell us a little bit about your organization, the lay of the land, where you're located, and so on, if you don't mind.
We're located in Bridgeton, Missouri, which is just right outside the city limits of St. Louis. 105 employees, and been in the business now for 42 years. And I've been here for the last 20.
Wow. Excellent. Congratulations to you. And Scott, tell us a little bit about the Modern Automotive Group.
Yeah, so Modern Automotive Network, we're in North Carolina. We're a total of 16 stores, 10 different brands. I'm the corporate parts director. I've been with Modern for 10 years. They've been they're a fifth generation dealer now. So been at this for a long time. Been in the parts business for from the beginning. Our owner actually started selling batteries out of the trunk of his car before he had a car dealership. So.
Wow, that is back to the beginning. Mm-hmm. Scott, tell us a little bit about Modern. Were you selling parts online prior to Revolution Parts? And if so, what got you into that?
We got started right about the time Revolution got started. So I think, we went on their platform about the time they came into being. So, and that was a GM site, GM Wholesale Direct. And that's our oldest site. And over time, as we've acquired brands, we've just continued to add into that fold. We have a total of six different sites that the Revolution runs for us.
Wow. And Justin, can I ask you the same question?
We got on about 5 years ago with Revolution Parts. It was actually an automotive news story that piqued my interest. They did a story about a dealer that was selling parts online, and before that, I never really even thought about it. And so I quickly realized, okay, this is a great opportunity to get into a new selling channel that we hadn't been in before. And that's where I started looking around and quickly found Revolution as the partner to help us get started.
And I like the way you put it, a new selling channel, because I believe that's exactly what Revolution Parts there does. What would you say is the biggest lesson or biggest thing you've learned now from selling parts online?
I think for us is, we made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. We didn't staff it correctly. We ultimately realized that our retail parts countermen and our wholesale team couldn't handle all of these orders, and they simply didn't know what they were doing. And so we needed to start from the beginning and create new jobs that were just specifically tailored to handling these incoming orders, and ultimately the team of picker packers to ship everything out in a timely manner as well.
Wow. Mike, is Justin's story familiar? Have you seen that before?
Yeah, no, we've seen it. We've seen people come on and kind of get overwhelmed a little bit, or grow a little bit too fast and not be ready. I think one of the things Justin actually called out before that's really key, and you mentioned it, is it's a new selling channel. So this is a new business kind of line for many dealers and many parts departments, and it's a different way of thinking, right? So a lot of parts guys we talk to, they come to us and they kind of have that old fashioned, like, I need to maintain, like a 30, 40, 50% profit margin. And, I need to know where I'm selling. Selling online is different. So you have different metrics that you have to like look at. You have a different profit profile, and there's a lot, it's a new business, so like the guys that come on and really get that piece are able to accelerate quickly. And then they get to the staffing, issues. The guys that come on and like, try to run it like like the business they have today, then that's probably a struggle for them to kind of wrap their minds around, like, this is a new business. How do I explain this line of business to my GM and position it so we can like look at the right KPIs and define what success looks like on online channels?
Wow. Scott, I got to come back to you with the same question. Biggest lesson you've learned from selling parts online?
So don't be afraid to be a little uncomfortable. I mean, we're uncomfortable every day as we go through this, and I think that's how you grow. And to what Mike was just saying, I mean, we have evolved in the way that we handle e-commerce at Modern. It used to be done out at the stores, at a store level by somebody in the parts department, and we've kind of taken on the model of consolidating our online effort. So we have a manager that manages that piece, and two salespeople that handle all the customer service and part of the business and take care of the customers and fill those orders, and then a warehouse that ships the parts. So it's not really done out at the dealership level anymore. It's done more out of a warehousing kind of setup.
Wow. And Mike, would you say that different mindset that we're hearing here, and not be afraid to be uncomfortable? That's probably some of the things that dealers who are looking to get into selling parts online need to be able to incorporate.
Yeah, that's true, Ted. Yeah, you have to be a little bit uncomfortable. You have to be willing to, think a little outside the box. We have a lot of dealers that do things a little bit different to like make themselves unique. I was talking to a dealer last week, and I found it very interesting. It was a Nissan dealer out in Olympia, Washington, and they had a very unique business model for selling parts online. A lot of our dealers will sell parts by marketing through like organic search or doing paid ads. These guys were doing YouTube videos and social. So Instagram and just videos, and very focused on like Nissan and specific part types. And they were very successful. And they were also really focused, what I would say is a big important part of selling parts online, and a shift for some dealers is like the digital retailing aspect of selling online. So think about it when you buy anything online, like you want to be able to see great pictures, multiple angles, you want user-friendly descriptions. And a lot of times that stuff doesn't come from the OEM, great out the box. So you have to, invest time in your digital retailing. It's something RevolutionParts tries to do to help our dealers, is invest in digital retailing. But it's a new function for a lot of dealers. How do I present these parts online, make them look the best? Which parts do I need to, modify the descriptions, the images, and all that type of stuff for?
Justin, you mentioned many years at the group there. Justin, what is your background? Was yours a fixed ops background, or did you come up to the sales department?
Fixed ops.
Okay.
This is my father-in-law's dealership that I moved here from Texas to take over my father-in-law's dealership, and started in the body shop, and then went into the service department, and then the parts department, and then finally made my way up front. But most of my time was spent into the back end of the store.
And what Mike is saying here about, some of the descriptions, being able to have the visuals and the graphics, what do you have to say about that? Because you're successful with this now. And is that an important part of being able to market this online?
It's key. We have a full-time person that all she does every day is take pictures of our parts. We have a photo studio set up for her. And also updating the dimensions, the weights of the boxes, and the descriptions themselves. For a while, we spent a lot of time updating all of our descriptions, and we could see the exact day when Google rescanned our website and the sales took off once Google recognized the work that we had put in, and how our organic traffic skyrocketed after that day.
Justin, that is fascinating. That's the first time I've heard this on the Fixed Ops Roundtable with all the discussions we've had. Scott, what about on your side in terms of the marketing and the effort that going into to describe visually these parts online?
Yeah, I mean, when you have a catalog and it shows a schematic, that's not very appealing. And if you're trying to market that against somebody that has a customized picture, as Justin was just saying, that customized picture is going to win every single time, and it's going to take the business.
Wow. What's interesting too, Ted, a lot of times when you're going against a schematic, or like sometimes the default will be just the brand, like the emblem, like the guy with the cool picture or multiple pictures and even price higher a lot of times and win out over that guy with the schematic.
Yep.
It really follows the Amazon model, right, Justin? And, I'm thinking back, I'm dating myself, Scott, years ago to the old Sears catalog, but now how visually appealing everything looks online. And, Justin, we're really marketing ourselves in that new era.
We are. And Amazon has set the bar. The customer expects, that experience from us, just like what they receive from Amazon.
Right.
I think you're right, and I think they probably likely now expect that throughout the dealership, right? With a lot of different things that are out there, the Carvanas and so on and so forth, and it makes sense to have this in parts. What about on the customer service side, Justin? Scott spoke a little bit about that, but how does customer service for online parts differ from a traditional online service model?
It's very different. The number of emails, the phone calls. And even for us, we used to have live chat on our website, and we were receiving 3,600 live chat opportunities per month on our site, and we simply couldn't get to them all. And we've had to transition to texting instead, so that we then have the history, that phone number from the customer, so that we can respond to them and no longer miss those opportunities. And we found that the customer typically wants us to, respond to them in the way that they initially responded to us, whether that was texting, a phone call, or an email.
And Justin, once you acquire a customer on the parts side through this way, what's your experience been, in retaining those customers and to keep them coming back?
It's interesting. We have a lot of customers spread throughout the United States now that just are our repeat customers that are buying parts from us on a monthly basis.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd say what's interesting, Ted, like if you look on Revolution Parts as a whole, like all of our customers and all of the purchases, about 50% of all purchases. So last year, I think there was about $500 million in parts sold through the platform. Half of that was repeat purchases. So someone bought something, came back and bought again. So it's one of the things when we talk to new dealers, like it's a new business and you have to build it. And as you start to build it and get a customer base and start getting repeat purchases, like you're building a bigger and better business, and your cost of acquisitions go down, and then your profitability goes up. So, you got to stick with it and build that base.
Mike, you said another phrase there. You're building a bigger and better business. And Mike, it would seem to me that's what a dealership does when they get involved with this platform.
It's true, Ted.
Go ahead.
Yeah, to Mike and Justin's point, I mean, about 52% of our business is either direct or organic. So, that ad budget that we spend every single month, I want that going out and finding new business. And just like any other customer that comes into the dealership, we want to retain the one that we got, that the ad budget brought to us, retain them and let that money go find a new customer.
Fascinating conversation, everybody, right now. We're talking to Mike Rich at Revolution Parts with some insights into online parts excellence with two of the top dealers in the nation, Justin Akin and Scott Traub. Scott, let me come back to you. There are a lot of challenges right now in our industry. We're seeing them on both the variable and on the fixed side. And I know in parts we've got some challenges in terms of supply and being able to fulfill the parts. How do you overcome some of those?
You have to communicate. I mean, communication is the key with this business. And supply chain has been a challenge, and I don't think it's going to stop being a challenge anytime soon. So you have to be communicating with your customers, setting realistic expectations and ETAs, and updating them when those ETAs change. So for our e-commerce salespeople, we publish a back order list every single day of everything that is currently on back order and with updated ETAs, and so that they have that at their fingertips and they can then go through and update any customers with any changes that have taken place. So
Scott, would you say communication is easier, by having the online selling of parts with these customers than let's say a traditional experience?
Yeah, I think that customer's more tuned in to what Justin said. However they came to you is the way we respond back to them, and you usually make contact with them really quickly.
Justin, I know you've got the challenges there in Missouri as well, with the supply. How do you overcome some of those on the parts side?
The supply chain issue is, it's getting worse. It hasn't been getting better. And so now when orders come in for us that we can't fulfill, we're going into the back end of Revolution Parts and marking those items as being on back order and putting a date out in the future. So it gets pulled off of our site. And then I'm not wasting, SEM budget on parts that I can't get our hands on, and I'm not spinning the wheels of my own employees. And so we've seen our canceled order rate go down as we've put that process into place.
Fascinating. Mike, what do you want to share, if anything, on supply issues for dealers?
Yeah, no, I think these guys covered it pretty well. I think everyone, kind of realizes that there are supply chain issues. So it's not like something new to the consumer. So it's a little bit expected. So it is key to communicate across, these channels to these consumers. And it is also key to eliminate, that extra work like Justin was saying. So if you have something that sells that's on back order and it's on back order and you can't get it, go in and update it and make that, mark that product as unavailable so you don't get additional orders that you're trying to have to, work through and handle additional communications and spending your time on.
Wow. Scott, you're there at Modern Automotive in North Carolina. You and I got into the car business at about the same amount of time. I could never have imagined, and I'm sure you could not have years ago, doing something like this. Even myself, 10 years ago, I couldn't imagine any mechanism like this. Looking out into the future, because there's always going to be change. Scott, what are your biggest concerns about how the industry is going to change over the next 5 or 10 years? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think there's lots of opportunity. I mean, the e-commerce business is going to continue to grow. We've seen tremendous growth over the last couple of years. The pandemic certainly helped that growth a little bit, but it was well on a roll before that. I think there's going to be opportunities to improve the customer experience as we move down the road. I think it won't be long before there's going to be, we'll be filling orders probably not only out of our parts inventory, but maybe directly out of the manufacturer's PDC, which will improve that level of service to the customer. So I think that'll happen probably pretty soon, sooner rather than later. So.
Scott, if a dealer is not using a platform like Revolution Parts or the multiple platforms that they provide, I would imagine they would be at a significant disadvantage if they didn't have that or didn't get started on that sometime in the very near future.
Yeah, and I think just like traditional wholesale, over time, this business probably migrates to the bigger sellers. So I think time is of the essence. If you intend to be in this space, you need to go.
Wow. Justin, what are your thoughts about how things are going to change the next 5-10 years and getting on a platform like this?
I believe I agree with what Scott said. Google does reward longevity. And so if you're going to get on the platform, the time to go. I think dealers across the country will at some point start questioning why their retail walk-up counter business, where it went. And it went online, and Scott and I are now selling parts to those customers. Because we see a lot of people who are obviously working on their vehicles over the weekend, and then they order their parts from us on Monday. Monday is our biggest selling day of the week. And so I think we have a tremendous opportunity just to continue to grow and actually get some market share back from the aftermarkets.
Yeah.
Good point that you mentioned, Justin. Lizette Gold from Google was on the roundtable and was showing us, about some of the intentions of people who, companies who buy the parts. There are individuals who look at YouTube videos and then they are in the market, quickly thereafter, for parts as well. So, Justin, this is really changing rapidly the whole landscape, like you just said, of that walk-in customer, buying those parts over the counter like in the old days.
Yeah. And one of the great things about selling online is we make money in shipping.
Yeah.
That, on the wholesale side of things, that there's an expense tied to that vehicle and that driver and the insurance and the gas, and shipping is a profit center for us.
Another revenue stream.
Wow. So, Scott, you couldn't imagine going back and not having, these tools available like you're using today with Revolution Parts, could you?
Not at all. Not at all. It's changed the way we do business. Justin mentioned retail counter. I mean, we've watched our retail counter numbers slip, over the last several years, and they continue to go down. I don't feel too bad about it because I know where the business is going. And we're getting a lion's share of it, and we're not limited to the dealership's footprint. We can sell anywhere in North America.
Wow, Justin, could you imagine doing business today and now going into 2023 without a platform like this?
No, we've been able to hire more people, and it's just brought a lot of growth to our dealership. It's actually really been exciting to take something that didn't used to exist and grow it into, what it is today.
Mike, I'm excited by listening to these two dealers and the success they're having with parts.
Yeah, no, they're doing amazing, and they're calling out a lot of opportunities. Like, we're in a period of like transition and change right now, in dealerships where that walk-up business is starting to erode and people are starting to buy online. And I think just like the way the dealership looks, not just the parts department's changing, right? So like the inventory dealers hold, how they get customers, like there's a lot of change occurring at the dealership right now. And a lot of it is like going to like these e-commerce type models. So to have your parts department be at the forefront of leading that change into e-commerce is very exciting, So I don't know how often this has occurred in history where the parts department just kind of led the change, for the dealership. It's probably one of the first times ever that the parts department's ahead of the rest of the dealership in terms of like embracing e-commerce and driving this change and taking back, revenue from the aftermarket that has historically stole it from the dealership. Sure. And there's so much more opportunity. There's so many things, we could do. I was on another call with NADA a few weeks back talking about EVs, and I thought it was really interesting. And we were talking about how parts e-commerce can kind of help offset some of that loss in revenue from the service lane associated with EVs. One of the other things I thought was interesting, like that walk-up parts business you're losing, or those oil change customers you're losing. Like if you have a good database of local parts buyers that are buying online from you, that could potentially be a funnel back to the top end of your dealership for people to buy cars. You could look and say, hey, we have all these guys and we know they have cars that are 12 plus years old. These are the parts that they're buying for these cars. These cars are on their last leg. Maybe it's time to take them and roll them into a campaign to try to get them back to the dealership and buying a car. So instead of spending money to buy a lead with your traditional, dealership marketing, you're actually getting a guy coming to you, buying a part, and then they're potentially becoming a lead for you to buy a car as well. So I think that's an area we haven't even touched on.
This is easily one of the most exciting panels we have ever had at any Fixed Ops Roundtable, and we're discussing insights into online parts excellence with Mike Rich from Revolution Parts and two dealers, Justin Akin and Scott Traub. Gentlemen, to kind of bring it home today, one last lightning round question, and Justin, I'll come to you first, and then Scott, and then Mike last. What is the number one tip you would give our audience or anybody watching today who is thinking about selling parts online, or just into something you and I discussed in the green room just before we got started, maybe somebody who initially put their toe in the water and got out and is thinking about maybe getting back in?
I think for that person that dipped their toe in the water and got out, they probably didn't spend enough in SEM. And that if you want to grow, that's where you need to start until you're able to build up the organic traffic to your website, really. And to me, you got to staff correctly from the get-go and think outside the box. Think differently than the staff that you probably have in your store right now.
And bottom line for you there, it's been overall a profitable and worthwhile experience.
It has. It's allowed us to grow and hit a lot of our manufacturer objectives that they put out there for us.
And they do. Scott, over to you.
Yeah, I would say, if you're thinking about getting into the business, I mean, if you're going to go this route, you got to go all in. You can't go halfway. You can't just give it a try. You got to have that mindset that I'm committed to this and I'm going to make it work, and I'm willing to make some mistakes and as I learn and go through it, but I'm all in. Halfway in, you're going to fail. Halfway in, you're going to get frustrated and give up. But if you commit and you go all the way in, you'll be successful. The guys at Revolution will hold your hand. They'll tell you best practices. Listen to them, follow their lead, and it'll work.
Yeah, Scott, I guess I could try it without them, but to have that experienced partner in so many of these different ways makes a lot of sense, Scott. Yep. Mike, number one tip you would give our audience watching today about somebody thinking about selling parts online?
Yeah, I mean, these guys kind of covered it already. At the end of the day, just remember it's a new business. It's, a new channel for you. You're not going to come out the gate in most instances and have instant success. Stay with it, put a plan in place, build up a base of customers and grow with it. And just don't be afraid to take the plunge and to start and get moving down the road to e-commerce. If you don't do it today, 5 other people are going to do it, and eventually, the market's going to consolidate, and you might be left, without a piece of this pie.
Wow. Mike, I'm going to ask you how our audience can reach out to you, but Justin and Scott, I know our audience is going to reach out to you as well. So be prepared for some feedback on there and all good stuff. Mike, if our audience wants to find out more about Revolution Parts and how they can get started, what do they do? Yeah,
best way is just you can email me directly. My email is across the bottom of the ticker, mrich@revolutionparts.com. So I'm pretty responsive. So just email me. I can help you in any way you need to get started, send you over to any of our specialists, answer your questions. And yeah, just reach out if you have any questions. Always here to help.
Wow. Love it. Everybody, on behalf of the Fixed Ops community, I want to thank you for your time today. Justin Akin, welcome. Thank you so much. Great resource. A lot of insights today. And thank you for all you do for fixed operations. Appreciate it, Justin.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And Scott Traub, thank you so much as well. I've heard a lot about both of you gentlemen. And Scott, nice to meet you finally in person and to get you here on the roundtable.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great insights and great wisdom. And Mike Rich, thank you on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable for all you do for our industry at Revolution Parts.
Cool. Thank you, Ted.
Everybody, easily one of the most exciting panels we've had on the roundtable in a long time. The Insights into Online Parts Excellence panel hosted by Revolution Parts here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.